This right here is a Tokay Gecko. They are one of the largest gecko species on the planet. I wonder if it hurts. Oh! Dude, did you see that?
Yeah.
Dude, let me turn off the car. 1 second.
You're not good at this.
Did you see that? Look. Where'd it go? There's a huge Tokay Gecko here on this wall. I think it's possibly up top.
He's right here. He's right here.
It's right here. Where is he?
Right above the top layer.
Okay, I see him.
Right there. Oh, you got him. You got him. You got him. You better hurry up. There you go.
Guys, oh, you hear him? He's croaking. This right here is a Tokay Gecko. They are from Thailand. They are from the Komodo Islands, and they are one of the largest gecko species on the planet. They are beautiful. Look. Oh, look, he lost his tail. Now, a lot of lizard species like geckos and iguanids, they break off their tail as a way to get away from a predator. So if a predator tries to eat them, they might bite at the tail. The muscles inside the tail break off. That tail keeps wiggling, and he gets to escape and live his life. Now, what's really cool about the Tokay Gecko is if you look, they're blue and they have these orange spots. These guys have been known to eat small snakes, big insects like big roaches, and even their own species. They've been known to be cannibalistic. Now, what's really interesting about this animal is, like I said, they're from Asia, they're from the Komodo Islands. They don't belong in South Florida. Because they're so pretty and they're so cool looking, lots of people thought they would be great pets. The problem is, they're really good at escaping. Geckos are great at climbing. They have these awesome little pads on their feet to help them scale up flat surfaces like nothing. Look at the feet, watch as he grips. Will, put your finger out, look at this. Put your finger out, tell me what that feels like.
What are you doing with that
I'm
mouth?
not gonna let him bite you. Look, feel that.
Ew.
Isn't that weird? There are tiny, tiny microscopic pieces of skin sticking out, and on top of those little pieces of skin, there are more little pieces of skin, kind of like hairs. So they're microscopic and they help stick to glass and flat surfaces, and they can scale up walls like it's nothing. So these guys are awesome. So they're not supposed to be out here. They've escaped from facilities that would import these by the thousands. They'd escape throughout the cracks and crevices of the cages or boxes that they got shipped in, and they'd end up on the sides of the walls. And so happens to be, there's a wholesale reptile dealership. So happens to be that there's actually a importation place. So happens. So it so happens to be that there's actually a importation facility where they bring in thousands of reptiles like iguanas and geckos, and over the years they've adapted to the local environment. It's nice and humid and hot down here in South Florida, just like it is in Asia, so these guys thrive. These guys are so cool, and the reason they're called Tokay Geckos is because they vocalize the word Tokay. Tokay. So, at night, you might hear a very odd sound here in South Florida, the Tokay, Tokay. A really funny story is down in the Keys. Coño, mira, planes, the plane, go away. It's okay, my friend, it's okay, my friend, it's okay, we don't like the planes. The planes are not our friends. They ruin the shot. All right, my friend? Look how pretty this guy is. Here, get some more shots of this Tokay Gecko. That is insane. Look at this animal. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Now, what's a really funny story is down in the Keys, there's also invasive Tokay Geckos. And there was one lady who had one in her backyard and was vocalizing the F word, you. F-U, in the backyard. So it was going, girl. And she was freaking out. She's going, somebody's telling me to go F myself in my backyard. And she couldn't see who it was because it was a gecko. So she's looking around, she's freaking out. Eventually, she freaked out so much, she called the police in the Keys and said, hey, somebody's in my backyard telling me to go F myself. And the officers came, they looked around. Turns out it was a Tokay Gecko in the backyard telling her to go F herself. Guys, we have another video to work on right now, and time's running fast because we have some things that are waiting for us for this next episode. So we're gonna have to take this guy with us. He is not from the state, so he is considered an invasive species. So if I let him go, it's considered a class 3 felony. I've got to keep this guy. No permits are required to keep him, so I'm gonna take him home and I'll use him as an educational ambassador for his species. Awesome little Tokay Gecko. I wonder if it hurts that much when they bite. Oh, cool. Oh, okay. It hurts. A lot of jaw pressure. Look at that. They are no joke. They have quite the bite. Look at that. And if you look real close, you can see his eyes. They're huge because this is a nocturnal animal.
Stay tuned, Chandler.
He's biting really hard. He's got a lot of jaw pressure. All right, buddy, time to let go. Oh!
What's worse, baby gator or Tokay Gecko?
Tokay Gecko. Tokay Gecko for sure.
Go.
Let go. Come on. Let go. He's not letting go.
Any day now.
So,
Your blood's gonna coagulate. It looks like you have a little.
Will, let me see your finger.
No.
Come on, let me see your finger.
No, I'm good.
Okay, now that we're back in the snake room, I put the Tokay Gecko in a clear enclosure so you guys could get a better look at it while I tell you some interesting facts. This Tokay Gecko might be quite impressive with its size, but Tokay Geckos are actually the second largest gecko species on the planet, known to get upwards to 14 inches long. That is a massive gecko. When it comes to breeding, the Tokay Geckos begin to breed at the end of October all the way throughout May. Once the wet season kicks in, it is a trigger for all the Tokay Geckos to begin mating, and those Tokay Geckos begin to call out to the females, making that famous call, Tokay, Tokay. Their call is so loud it can be heard throughout all the forest at night. Now they also chirp and make a barking sound, but that's more of a defense when it comes to predators or maybe fighting with another Tokay Gecko. The word gravid is a word used to describe a reptile that's bearing eggs inside its body. So when a female Tokay Gecko is bearing eggs, she'll begin to look for a spot to lay those eggs. Now, she usually just lays about 2 eggs, and then every 30 days she'll lay another 2, anywhere from about 6 to 8 eggs total. What's really crazy about Tokay Gecko females is when they lay their eggs, there's almost like a glue on those eggs. So she'll find the crevice in between 2 branches on a tree, or maybe inside the hollow crevice of a tree, and she'll lay it up against the walls and they glue to the side of the wall. Or maybe in the city, between tiles of the roof, they'll go up and lay it up on the side of those tiles to keep away from predators high up in those spots where they're nice and safe. Now, as you guys remember, earlier in the episode, I told you guys a story about an old lady in the Keys who had a Tokay Gecko in her backyard screeching out the F word to her, telling her to go F herself, and it had her so freaked out she called the cops for assistance. I actually have her number right here, so I'm gonna give her a call and see what her story is like, and just give her a little interview and see what happens. So let's give her a call. Let me just dial the phone.
Yeah, hello, this is Martha.
Hi, how's it going? My name's Chandler.
Hi,
I'm
how's
from a
it going?
YouTube series called Chandler's
wow,
Wild Life.
You mean like Brave Wilderness, like Coyote Peterson? He's my favorite.
No, not really. It's kind of, well, I guess you could say it's like Brave Wilderness, but more like zero production value and watered down with trash water.
Oh, wow, that sounds pretty horrible.
Yeah. Anyway, so I wanted to ask you about that experience you had with the Tokay Gecko in your backyard. Tell me about it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was a crazy night. So basically, me and my girls, we had a bunch of tequila, and we were going crazy, because you know how we do down the Keys, baby. You know, we be drinking 24/7.
Sounds like you're having lots of fun out there.
So we getting lit, brother. We getting lit. So what happened was, I was drinking my tequila, and I look at my sister Sabrina. I said, hey, Sabrina, did you hear that? And then we hear, F you. And I was like, Sabrina, I swear someone's in the backyard saying F you, and I'm freaking out, man. And oh, baby, it wasn't that. That was lettuce I've been smoking anyway.
Recording this, I wouldn't say
so
that.
I start freaking out. And my girl Sabrina was like, girl, you need to get a grip. There ain't nobody in this backyard telling you to, oh. And then she stopped, and she looked at me. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. And you know what she said? She said, I just heard somebody to tell me to go F myself too.
Whoa.
And then I said, girl, that's what I've been trying to tell you. It ain't that tequila, girl. So then what happened was we start calling 911. We said, 911, there is a person in my backyard telling me to go F myself. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? So I went into the backyard and I waited for my officer to arrive. And the officer arrived. He said, what's the problem? I said, there is somebody in there, y'all, telling me to go F myself. Do something about it. Start firing rounds in the air or something like that. And then he said, we don't do that. And then right when we're standing arguing about firing rounds in my backyard, we hear F you. And he's like, oh, that doesn't sound too good. And he looks and he points at a big ass gecko on the wall. And he said, that's the culprit. These little things are everywhere. They keep getting them as pets and they release them and they escape and all that. It's called a Tokay Gecko. They say F you and they say Tokay and they say some other stuff too, but I don't remember what. So he said, there's nothing I can do about it. You can try catching the gecko and letting it go. And I said, whatever, as long as it's not Creepy John, my neighbor in my backyard again, tell me to go F myself because I don't want to go on a date with him to Olive Garden, then I'm fine with that.
Well, thank you for telling us that story. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
no
and I hope you have
problem,
a
baby. I love telling stories. Hey, baby, you know what? You got a nice voice. If you ever in the Keys and you want to drink some tequila
Oh, no,
and
I'm
catch
good.
some hog snapper, you know who to call. Me. You know we got tequila on deck, boy. Yeet, yeet. All right, baby. Kisses. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right, guys. That was another episode of Chandler's Wildlife. Oh, cool. This right here is a Tokay Gecko. They're one of the largest gecko species on the planet. I wonder if it hurts. Oh.